Hi guys, this is Julie from Connecting Japan. So we are, well, not all of us are here. Obviously James and Heather aren't here. I just thought we'd do a little recap on our trip for Fukuoka 2018. A lot of people ask us about it, so we thought we'd just jump right into it. Not really going to mention too much about Pan Asia in 2018 because the only thing that was really notable about that trip, apart from poor Heather getting sick on her first trip overseas, was visiting one of our congregational members whose wife is staying in a suburb of Phuket, and we mainly just did a pastoral care visit to her. So apart from that, we'll just jump into the Japanese leg of it. It was only 5.5 days that we could get. The reason for that is the way the flights fell and trying to get connecting flights. Thankfully that Singapore Airlines organised most of that for us, so we've just flew everywhere with Singapore Airlines, whether it was domestic or international. I actually did fall unwell between the Phuket, Singapore to Japan legs with the sinuses. I'd never been this unwell before, and for those who know not aware how long it takes to get from Thailand to Japan, it's about 5 hours. Apart from feeling a little bit under the weather, the trip was pretty much standard. Some of the things we did learn, culturally speaking, was to be able to answer the questions about that immigration might very well ask us. So for those who don't know, we actually use Japanese Pod 101 for our learning Japanese. Basically, with learning that, it's mainly learning the characters, the alphabet, and reading, grammar, writing, and speaking the language. Some of the cultural stuff that you might see online sometimes is not always accurate, or it's based on the region you're in. We fully expected to be asked the questions at immigration control, but none of that happened. So basically the three questions that usually most people are often asked is, what is your purpose of stay? Are you working or you're sightseeing? How long you're going to be staying, and which hotel you're going to be staying at. So we were fully prepared to answer those questions if they asked us, but that didn't happen. Like most airports these days, they're using more biometric systems in there. I have a sort of a love-hate relationship with Tullamarine when it comes to that sort of thing. Sometimes sometimes it works for me, sometimes it doesn't. I don't know whether it's my just tough luck or whether it's just me not doing it right. But anyway, they use a fingerprint technology in this particular airport, and I'm pretty sure that it's straight above the board with every other airport in Japan as well, and my machine wasn't working very well. So it was kind of embarrassing with James and Heather already gone through, and I was trying to fix mine up. So apart from that, our travelling from one side of the airport, Japan, is very simple. Lots of airports use like a rail system. Theirs is like a small airport, so it's just a quick 5-minute ride from one side to the other, and then you just go down to the rail station. A lot of people have difficulties getting tickets. We use the rail pass system, so not a full rail pass for all of Kyushu, just the JR rail line in Greater Fukuoka. When we realised what the word ego, meaning English, was, we just turned it across to that and selected our tickets, so that was not a problem. Just basically dragging around our luggage was an issue. There's the bubbly inserts that we have in our footpaths here. They have a lot of those there. They can be a bit of a difficulty when you're trying to pull your suitcase along. They use escalators pretty much everywhere, and lifts. Sometimes there's lifts around, but unless you know where they are, or you can understand the characters, you probably won't know where to look. So that was kind of difficult. The trains themselves are clean, and people are very quiet, and it's we had no problems with the transport and that sort of thing. So Um, we went up and down that rail line quite a bit, so I do believe we got our value for money with our rail pass. I don't know if that actually works on the buses. We could never figure that out, so we just didn't use the buses. We just walked a lot of the time. The hotel did know we were coming, but I did still use the set phrase "check in or onegaishimasu," which means "check in, please." And the rooms themselves were it's a fairly modern interior in the hotel, but some of the rooms are older. The hotels, I don't know whether the hotels do this on purpose or whether it's to do with earthquakes or anything, but the actual room that encompasses the bath, the shower, the hand basin and the toilet were raised up a little higher, and maybe there's a specific reason for that. Some of the taps and everything turn on different things, so one might turn on the hand basin, one might turn the shower or the bath. So once we worked that out, that was it made life a lot easier. I didn't use the remote for the toilets. A lot of toilets in Japan are done by remote, but you do have the option of using manually, and a lot of them have a sink on top of where the cistern would be. The reason for that is they save a lot of water by using number two and that sort of thing, so the tap actually goes on at that point, but you can actually use it for washing hands as well. They're big on dispensers there, so there was one for shampoo and shampoo, conditioner and soap. Because it's raised up, it has like a metal step and then the door. So if you're not aware of what's happening and you're just stumbling around in the dark, you more often than not, I almost fell into the bath trying to use the toilet. So that was kind of interesting to use. I didn't see any laundromats, but I'm assuming that like other parts in Asia, they have like coins for washing machines and dryers, and we found that out. And there was very few places to dry our clothing, unlike when we were in Thailand. But basically, the last person to get sick on the trip was James. The first night we were there, we went to a sushi-ya, which is sushi restaurant, and of course most people know or have seen that the conveyor belts in a lot of these places have food. We were advised not to take the food off that was zipping past, but to order it because it comes fresh. The staff actually bring it out to us, but they don't pick up dishes, so there's a chute to put the food down when you finish, which was quite fascinating. And the kids could play games to win things. Every time they ordered something, there was a game they could play. So that kept Heather and Eugene and Fiona's kids entertained for quite some time. Nobody won anything. But my husband is not a big fish eater, and he ate so much fish that we just thought he had a tummy bug, but it got worse. One of the things I found that was very useful, I ordered a lot of apps from JNTO, which is the Japanese National Travel Organization, and they have suggested apps. One of them was a voice translator app, and we were able to go from English to Japanese, speak into the phone, and give the shop clerk the information, so he got ready pretty quickly. We found some apps worked really well. That app worked great. Using Google Maps and didn't really work in Japan, and the navigational app, the Japanese navigational app wouldn't work either, because we use our Vodafone special deal there, and we didn't get a Japanese SIM. So if you're planning to come to Japanese for quite a while, it's probably best to ditch your foreign SIM and then put the Japanese SIM in, because some of the apps will work better. Free Wi-Fi, there's not really any free Wi-Fi. You might be lucky to find it in Starbucks. I don't think we found it in Macca's, not that I know of. Maybe it's just in other parts of the world, but not Japan. And that app didn't work either. So we did find another app that I've got is called Safety Tips. So it told us whether weather changed or not, or whether there is anything we need to be aware of. So, it wasn't too bad that some things worked and some things didn't. Again, because we got the issue with Japanese and English translation being a problem, I did find that they speak softly and quickly in Japan. And here's a phrase that I'm going to teach you. Moichido onegai shimasu, yukuri onegai shimasu, which means one time slowly, please. So this is just saying to them, I can't quite understand what you're saying. Can you please repeat it slowly? So if I had known that when we went to the cat cafe, the lady was talking slowly and quickly, and even though I knew I had to take my shoes off, she was actually trying to spray my feet, and she was going to put my feet in the shoes. So the service level in Japan is a whole nother level, and I guess for us foreigners, we don't get to understand what that means. The other thing that I realised that is a big issue in Japan is that it's yelling. These Japanese people don't yell, and they don't raise their voices. So we have to be. Sometimes I find with my thyroid and my health illness that I can't regulate my voice properly. So I had to really work on that too, because loudness is just not a thing. And when you walk through the streets in Fukuoka, it's so quiet. The only noise you'll hear is the pedestrian alert to alert you across the road. Now every area is different, have different music, so that was kind of weird to start with, but once you'd been in the around for a couple of days, you got used to it. Bicycles are more often than not on the footpath, not the road, so you kind of have to dodge that around a bit. The one thing I found that I probably wasn't aware of, I knew you couldn't eat while you walked, but I didn't realise that even if you had a concrete planet to sit on, you couldn't do that. You actually had to take your food home with you. So that was probably the biggest faux pas I made on the entire trip, actually. Obviously, in Asia, they don't particularly, while you might see people wearing shorts, it's a general consensus that, and singlet tops and all that, they generally don't like you doing that. So that was just something that I thought that, maybe in certain parts of Asia that's the case. It's across the board, everywhere you just don't do it. So apart from those things, we had a fantastic time. I did try coffee in Japan. It's one of those things like everywhere in the world. You either like it or you don't. I actually ordered my first coffee myself in Japanese, so it was shotto cappuccino kudasai, which is small cappuccino, please. Well, that's what I thought I was ordering when we were in Daisafu in Daisafu Shrine. Well, there's the big Starbucks outside of that, but I ended up with a tall, and I'm not sure whether I didn't say it right or whether my order was mixed up with somebody else's because it was so busy. Anyway, I didn't have coffee again for the remainder of my stay until we left, and then it was pretty good. Chocolate is another thing that might be hard to get. You can get foreign food, but just be aware if you buy it, you're going to be paying through the nose for it, and foreign confectionery is no different. I did watch a video. I'm a big fan of Chris Broad in Japan, and he's talked about Ghana chocolate. I tried that. It's a dark chocolate, so if you're not a big sweet person, Japan is not the place for you because there's not a lot of sweet food. You might find vanilla paste and red bean paste, mochi treats, or some gel sort of dango type things on a stick. But generally speaking, they're just not into sweet food. So if you miss sweet food, maybe bring your own. That was pretty good. I didn't try the soft drinks either. But I did try, obviously, if you saw on Facebook, the Pocari Sweat, which is sort of like a Gatorade type drink. It does get quite hot in Japan in the August. There's the big steps going up to the shrines. They're really big and windy, and they're not just a few steps, there's quite a lot. I thought I was fully hydrated when I clearly wasn't. So there was a vending machine, away I went. That was pretty good. We didn't see a lot of wildlife in Japan either. I think the only thing we saw is the occasional bird, cicadas, of course, which are there all the time. The koi fish, of course, which is just koi is just the Japanese word for carp, and we did see we did see a turtle as well. So we didn't see much in the way of wildlife. I'm sure they have some. We had a fantastic time. It was so encouraging to see the Japanese praising God in their language in a church. Obviously, the church that Fiona and Eugene have English and Japanese. There's an English and Japanese service. Obviously, their buildings are very small, very, very tall and narrow, and they can only fit so many. So, we're looking forward to the day where it gets to capacity and then they have to make a decision on what they will do next. It was great for Heather and I to spend mother and daughter time, but James also enjoyed his time with Eugene as well, and fixing up their church. So there's just some of the things that we learn, and we'll let you know if there's anything more that's coming up. Obviously, I'm going to be involved for the rest of October with things from my church that are doing. So we're doing a couple of different causes. So if you know Freedom Christian Church, you'll probably see some of those events. So I'm probably going to be involved in most of those. And then we've got the carols as well coming up in the December. So, even though at the moment that there's not a lot happening in the natural, we believe that God's moving for us in the supernatural. So we're just, staying still, praying with God, and see what happens. Thank you guys for watching the video, and have a great day. Jamatane!